Hi again. Guess we're doing a tier list. Jeez, I really must have run out of ideas. Well, I don't see the point in waiting around anymore, so let's do... What? Oh my god. Yeah. First things first, I've just got to say a huge thank you to you all for that last video. We got like 1,000 views at the time I'm writing this, so thank you all so much for clicking on it. That video smashed my other ones in terms of views by like 400, which I know isn't massive for some YouTubers, but for me that's so impressive. So thank you all so much for that. And secondly, a quick disclaimer. This tier list is just for fun. If there's a game here you're hyped for and I haven't ranked it high or it isn't here, feel free to call me a chud in the comments or a larper, whatever. Let's do it. Okay, our first game is The Blood of Dawnwalker, coming out on the 3rd of September. You play as a vampire in 14th century Europe. It's open world, and you have 30 days to complete the main story. There's also a mechanic that actually times you, so you actually do have a time limit to play this game and do the quests, and certain activities and side quests also affect that hourglass. But exploring the open world actually doesn't, which I quite like, to be fair. It mostly focuses on swordplay. not that time. But during the night, the player can use their vampiric abilities, which adds quite a unique edge to combat and does help make it stand out from the other medieval slop era games we're kind of finding ourselves in right now. It's directed by that guy. I don't know how to say that, but he worked on The Witcher 3. So this guy definitely knows what he's doing. The setting of the game is fictional in something called Valsadgor? That sounds right. In Southeast Europe, vampires impose a blood tax on humans, and the main antagonist is an ancient vampire who rules the kingdom. So ranking this one is a bit strange. Normally I dismiss games like this, especially open world medieval games. They're just not my thing, and I think there's way too many of the damn things anyway. But I really like the vampires being thrown into the mix because it offers a pretty cool perspective and could actually make the game stand out if they do the right things with them. However, it does do some generic things though, like a tyrannical ruler, blah blah blah, and the sword fighting. There's a lot of games that do that right now, and it doesn't really interest me. But I do think the mechanics like the hourglass and vampires can help it stand out. And also, it's from the guy who made The Witcher 3, so probably going to be a pretty good game anyway. I'll put it in A tier for now because it's probably going to be good. Let's be real. Let's move on. Next up is Oni Musha, Way of the Sword, coming out on September 4th. This takes place in Kyoto, Japan, that has been twisted by evil spirits. The protagonist wields something called the Oni Gauntlet, which helps him kill the creatures he faces, known as the Genma. Throughout the whole story, our protagonist searches for his reason to fight, and that's essentially it. There's a whole series of these games, which have all had pretty good reviews. So if you're a fan of these types of games or the series, obviously I'd encourage you to give it a go. But these games aren't exactly for me. Also, I'm just getting really sick of seeing medieval games in State of Play and the Game Awards. So I'll give this a B. I might check it out. I'll see. Right, so our next game coming out on the 7th of September is Wheelmates. It's a co-op driving game where you solve puzzles in an oversized location, and you can climb walls with cars and even swing from a boat with them. At first glance, I thought this was just going to be a normal, really boring racing game, and I probably would have gotten insane if it was, but thankfully it wasn't. Instead, this game's a lot more like It Takes Two, where in both games you're solving puzzles in these really oversized locations and you're given various tools and abilities to play around with. I think the idea of doing that with cars is actually pretty neat, and as long as this game doesn't cost a crazy amount, I think it's fair to say this could be worth giving a go. However, I think the similarities to It Takes Two could set it back a bit, depending on how much they copy from that game. As long as they keep it unique and play into the car aspect, I think it'd be worth looking at. There's a free demo on Steam, so give it a go. I'll put this in C tier. Our next game is Halloween the Game, coming out on the 8th of September. It's a 1v4 asymmetrical game. There's 4 survivors against Michael Myers. The survivors have to fend off Michael with various weapons, get help from the authorities, and rescue NPCs. While Michael just has to kill everyone, and he gets various weapons to help him do so. There's also a single campaign for both sides as well, in case you don't really want to play the multiplayer side and just want to chill. Honestly though, this game is the one I should be really hyped for, but I'm really on the fence for it. On one hand, I feel like this game has the potential to take me back to the days of Friday 13th. And oh my god, how I mourn that game. It looks great graphically as well, which Friday 13th didn't really do, I'll say. This game looks well made, is what I'm trying to say. But on the other hand, I'm also worried that this could get really messy. I can't really put my finger on it, but I hope they've managed to capture just how fun Friday the 13th was through this Halloween game, and it doesn't end up like other asymmetrical horror games in the past. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Evil Dead. The price tag worries me though. This game is $50, which might be a bit hard to justify because the other games I've just mentioned all died pretty quickly, and I think we're priced around the same. I'd hope this game gets consistent updates, but even then, what could they really add? Seriously, Michael Myers being the only killer could make this game get pretty stale unless they give him different types of abilities and skins, like Friday 13th did, but even then, the movie versions of Michael never really change look-wise. What I'm trying to say is, it's probably going to struggle to keep players after a few matches, unlike Dead by Daylight, because DBD, you're playing into different maps, killers, perks. There's a lot of variety, which this game could lack. So for now, I'm going to hope this game doesn't implode in a month, and I'll put it in C. All right, next up is Screenbound, coming out on September 10th. It's a 5D platformer, which makes use of 3D and 2D environments. Some areas of the game are 3D and others focus on 2D. You play the 2D sections through what's basically a Game Boy. Overall, I'd say this game's very simple, but there's nothing wrong with that, to be honest. I think we need to play simple games sometimes. And also, I think it's just a game that could just be chill. Just a nice, relaxing game. There's a story too, apparently. The Game Boy part sounds cool. That could add a lot of depth to the platforming and puzzles. The simplicity of the game is in no way a bad thing. There's a demo on Steam if you want to give it a go. So for now, I'm probably going to put this in C tier. All right, next up is Wolverine, coming out on September 15th. Do I even need to summarize this game? I think we all know this is probably going to be the biggest September release for most people. Not for me, but we'll get to that game. Insomniac absolutely know what they're doing by now. I played the first Spider-Man ages ago, and that game is still great today. Maybe not the MJ parts, but womp womp, who cares? We're almost guaranteed a great game here. This studio knows how to handle superheroes and their villains most of the time, at least, and they give the cinematic quality that they'd get as if they were in a movie. My only worry, I guess, is the combat. I hope it doesn't get too stale and repetitive. The healing factor looked amazing in that State of Play trailer we got a few months ago, so I think this is just going to be a great game. I hope they manage to tell a story on the level of the movie Logan. That is probably the best Wolverine movie I've seen, so I hope Insomniac can reach those similar emotional highs with this game. I also hope that there isn't a huge amount of cut content and missed potential with this game like Spider-Man 2 had. There are videos purely dedicated to everything cut from Spider-Man 2, and it's brutal, man. But I think they've got this one in the bag, so S tier. Okay, and next up is Warhammer 40k Dawn of War 4, coming out on the 17th of September. That is an absolute mouthful of a title. This is a real-time strategy game where you can take control of various factions. There's over 70 single-player campaigns and even some multiplayer modes. I've got to be honest, I actually know nothing about Warhammer 40k. Like, I think I could solve the mysteries of the universe before ever learning anything about Warhammer. The game's $60, so I hope it's worth the money. I don't know, man. Look, I'm just going to put it in D tier and move on. Right, next one. Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave. Okay, I have even less idea of what to say about that one. I don't play these types of games, man. What's the next one? Trails in the Sky, second chapter. Okay, look, just give me a game I can actually talk about, and this better not be a medieval or farming game, or I swear to God, I will go absolutely insane. What? Am I censoring that? Who did that? Whatever. I'll focus on the game. Paperhead on September 18th. Sure, you know what? I can do this. It's a shooter similar to Doom, is the best way I can describe it. Its style is pure cardboard cutouts. You get something called a magic pencil and other abilities. There is actually a story. The main goal is to discover why all the cardboard cutouts bleed. And look at this, I actually have something to say about this game. I'm all for games with art direction like this that go back to using simpler assets like cardboard cutouts for enemies, for example. But they obviously have gore in them this time, and that's part of the story. It also seems like they're trying to be as weird and strange as possible, which I love even more. Games, especially, should never be afraid to get weird and strange, and I'm glad this one isn't. It's got a free demo and also runs on literally anything, so I'll put this in beta. Dune Awakening on September 22nd is our next game. This one's actually already out on PC, but I'll still give the review because it's a pretty big game. It's an open world survival game where you build bases and advance in technology on Arrakis, all the while completing a story. It can be played alone or with friends. This game is a great concept. It's Ark Survival Evolved meets the world of Dune. What's not to love about that? Maybe not Vin Diesel, I guess, but whatever.
I got family.
The game is already out on PC, so that's actually quite helpful to me because I'm not just guessing if this is going to be good or bad. So to know if this game is good or bad, I'm going to look at the Steam reviews, which is never a place I like going, but let's take a peek. Our first reviewer has about 600 hours in the game, and they say that the first few hours of the game are fun, but by the time you get to the end game, it apparently becomes a pretty terrible experience where you're just grinding endlessly for stuff. There's also a PvP side which suffers because you can't catch up to other people who are ahead of you because of how long it takes to grind. Let's look at good review instead then. This guy has 200 hours. They say that the scale of bases is impressive, there's a lack of lag, the progression system is very in-depth, and they find that the game is immersive and rewarding, but do admit that there is a long grind to be had. So from those two different reviews, this game definitely has a long grind, so if that's not your thing, then maybe avoid this one, but it's very detailed and apparently not too buggy, so I'll put this in beta for now. It could be an A maybe, but the amount of time needed to grind and the mention of some game-breaking bugs does worry me a little bit. Before I move on, the 24th of September is an absolutely packed day. There's 5 games coming out in this day, so let's see if any of these are actually worth it. Our first game is Control Resonant, coming out on September 24th. It's the sequel to Control. It follows the brother of the protagonist from the first game, Dylan Faden. It's a mix of melee and psychic abilities for combat, letting you fly, create walls around yourself, and throw projectiles. The melee aspect seems to be very in-depth. You can change from swords to a hammer and a whole lot more. It's set in New York after something called the Hiss broke out of containment and has infected New York and its people, transforming them into vessels. Not just that, New York itself has also been affected. Its architecture has shifted and doesn't make sense anymore, similar to the backrooms and liminal spaces like it. Dylan is tasked with saving New York and finding his sister, all the while dealing with the trauma he suffered in the first game. Now, I've got to come clean and say this is the one I'm most hyped for. Remedy, the people who make this game, also make the Alan Wake games, and I absolutely adore those games and the first Control, so I can't wait to play this game. Try my best not to be biased though, Remedy does always deliver in terms of quality and story for me at least. Their games always bleed with passion from the devs. The stories are complicated sometimes and convoluted, but so unique and creative that I can honestly look past the flaws that they have. Visuals are also a strong suit for Remedy. Alan Wake 2 for me is the best looking game I've actually ever played in my life. It's not just that makes them such a unique gaming company. They also mix in live action cutscenes in their games, most notably Herald of Darkness from Alan Wake 2. You've probably seen that where he does the funny dance. The downsides to Remedy, I'd say, are that they struggle with enemy variety and bosses and just combat in general. Alan Wake 1 and 2 don't have much enemy variety, I'd say, so hopefully they manage to balance it out this time and we get a good story and good combat. For me though, this game is going into S tier because I'm a biased chud, but also because the setting is a brilliant idea. I love that we're finally getting a fully twisted Inception-like setting in a game. The combat also looks really engaging. I think the psychic abilities offer up a lot of fun mechanics and builds. Finally, the writing for the game. Remedy know how to tell good stories from Max Payne up to Alan Wake 2. I'm sure the case will be the same for this one. Our next game, coming out on the 24th of September, is Silent Hill Townfall. This is a first-person Silent Hill that takes place in Scotland. It's mainly focused with stealth also emphasized. You get a handheld device that tells you if enemies are nearby, similar to Silent Hill 2, and it takes place in 1966. So, another Silent Hill game. Konami have really been on a winning streak with Silent Hill since they remade the second one. Silent Hill F has been great, and now we have Townfall, which, from the trailers, make it seem like another step in the right direction for Silent Hill. They're once again stripping away combat even further and seem to be emphasizing these stealth mechanics, which is what makes horror games scary. The more guns and weapons I'm given, the less afraid I am. So hopefully this actually manages to get a good few scares out of me. The only thing I have to say with gameplay for Silent Hill is that it always kind of struggles. I never find the gameplay in Silent Hill games unique. If you get what I mean, it's always just kind of mid, which isn't a bad thing. The stories are what really elevates Silent Hill to the franchise it is. Resident Evil has always kind of mastered combat. I mean, my favorite game, for example, is Alan Wake 2 in terms of horror games, and that has an absolutely really mid combat system. But the story it manages to tell redeems it so much to me and makes it one of my favorite games ever, which just shows how powerful these stories can be when done right because it makes you ignore the weaker aspects of the game. So hopefully Silent Hill Townfall's story is really strong and I'm not upset by the gameplay. Another aspect I love about Silent Hill though is the fact they're moving around to different parts of the world now and we're not just stuck in another American small town. The idea to use Scotland opens up a lot of potential because the UK is a surprisingly rare place to see in horror. So I hope they make the most of the location, just like they did with Japan and its culture in Silent Hill F. My only real concerns is that they start retreading steps. I hope our protagonist, whoever he is, whatever he's going through, isn't anything similar to the likes of James Sunderland because I really don't want another looking filler wife. I think there's so many interesting stories that my only concern is that they start retreading steps of the older games. I hope our protagonist, whoever he is and whatever he's going through, isn't anything similar to the likes of James Sunderland because I really don't want another looking for the wife game. I think there's so many more interesting stories that you can tell than just that. Konami, though, haven't missed with Silent Hill for a few years, and I love the idea that they're still moving locations. I'm British, of course, so I'm looking forward to it either way. I love the representation. I'll put this in S tier because it's an established franchise, and I feel like it's going to be really difficult for them to miss, especially with the story they can tell. So yeah, it looks like a great game, and let's all hope they don't fumble the bag. Next up is Hot Wheels Infinite Rush, which, if you like racing games, you'll like this one. D tier. I don't care. I don't care. Moving on. Garfield Escape from Monday is also another game coming out in September. Garfield Escape from Monday is also a game which is also coming out on September 24th. You know what? I'm just going to read the description and you tell me if this is Game of the Year or not, okay? Garfield may be right not to trust vegetables. When you're a lazy cat spending most of his time sleeping, having a nightmare can happen. But a nighttime a nighttime full of vegetables and sugar-free candies? No way. Now, if that isn't Game of the Year, if I don't see Jeff Keighley giving this every award, then we truly know Netanyahu wins the Game Awards. Yeah, A-tier game. 10 out of 10. Oh, it's my tier list. I don't care. Look, what's the next one? Harvester Moon, Echoes of that, September 24 as well. I'm looking at the game cover and this better not be a farming game. Don't you dare, Nintendo. There's hundreds of those. I'll put it in F, Nintendo. Don't do it. Don't you do it. Oh my god. F tier. F tier. Next up is Minecraft Dungeons 2, September 29th. Believe it or not, it's a sequel to Minecraft Dungeons, which I didn't see that coming, to be honest. Seriously, when I saw that, I was actually flabbergasted that they had the balls to make a sequel to this fucking game. This game moves away from the disconnected missions from the first game and more towards an interconnected world. You have to stop the Warden or a more powerful version of it, I think, as it spills into the overworld and a new dimension. I'm probably going to struggle to say a lot about this game, mainly because I played the first one for like 10 minutes before I got bored and didn't touch it since. But I can give you some positives and negatives for what I can see in the sequel. I love the animation. Minecraft in particular, Minecraft Story Mode, really got Minecraft movement perfect for me, and they seem to be doing a similar type of animation here. I love the idea of using the Warden and the Deep Dark because, as we all know, Minecraft doesn't care for its dimensions or lore. They just add it and then, I don't know, fall asleep for 20 years. I'm glad that they're doing it in this game at least because we finally get to see something cool come out of the Warden. For negatives, I'd say, why are we spending money making Minecraft Dungeons too? But for real, I guess I'd say maybe the price and that this seems just like Microsoft trying to milk more money from Minecraft. Let's look at the pre-order option. If you don't believe me, we can either buy the base game for £25 or $30, I think, or the best value deluxe edition for £45 or $50, which that has to be a joke, right? I mean, that is nearly double the price of the regular game. And look at the description. They're literally running out of things to put in the description in these editions because the Minecraft launcher is advertised in both of them. I mean, who the hell is buying Minecraft Dungeons for the Minecraft launcher? Is that even a selling point? I feel like that's just base Minecraft. They can just get that anyway. Whatever. I'll put this in D tier because I just don't like these sort of games, and I feel like this screams greed, especially the $50 deluxe edition. That is insane. That is actually insane. But if you want the Minecraft launcher, buy it. You know, perfect for you. Let's move on. Let's move on. Our last game is Ace Combat 8 Wings of Thief. So this game is maybe meant to release in October, which isn't September. So I guess I lied to you all there. But if you pre-order it, it comes out on the 29th of September, so it counts okay. Look, it's the last game. Let's just forget I even made that mistake. You play as a fighter pilot, your pilot assumes the identity of a fake propaganda ace pilot, and you have to save your country from invasion. The game's premise really interests me. When I first saw it on the list, I was like, that's probably a bit of a dud to end on. But honestly, after reading the premise, I'm thinking of buying this game. I love the idea of having to rise up and become a legend. In this game, becoming that ace pilot takes a lot from a character, probably. They're likely going to have to battle with losing their identity and becoming a fabricated person. My only worry with this game really is, I guess, the tone. Some of the screenshots worry me a little bit with the skins that they were showing off. I hope they don't lean into that goofy side too much and they manage to keep the game serious and actually tell a deep story here. So for now, I'll put this in B tier. So that's it. Look at that list, eh? I have terrible taste. Wow. But seriously, let me know if you agree with my rankings or disagree. I'd love to hear your opinions and I'll try my best to comment back about them. For now, though, I'm going to go relax. The UK heat is actually a real killer, and I'm recording this under my desk, so I'm actually being cooked alive. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I'll hopefully see you on the next one. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye, guys. I'll see you in the next one.